Picture this. Two people stand at the edge of the same mountain. One has a notebook full of genius. The other has mud on his shoes. The first one says, "I have an idea so brilliant it could change the world." The second one says nothing. He just starts climbing. 6 months later, the genius is still explaining the map. The climber is already building roads. And that, my friend, is the tragedy of modern ambition. We have fallen in love with the spark and forgotten the furnace. Because ideas are exciting. Ideas make you feel powerful in private. Execution is humbling. Execution makes you look foolish in public. An idea is a screenshot of a future. Execution is the war required to get there. And history is littered with people who mistook imagination for accomplishment. So today we're going deep into one of the most brutal truths in business, leadership, and life. Why execution usually beats ideas. Not because ideas don't matter, but because ideas, by themselves, are almost worthless. Let's say I give two people the same golden concept: a business, a book, an app, a movement, a ministry, a vision. One person treats the idea like treasure. They protect it, guard it, talk about it, fantasize about it. The other treats the idea like raw material. They cut it, test it, break it, rebuild it, and let reality punch holes in it. Guess who wins? Almost always the second person. Why? Because in the real world, the marketplace does not reward conception. It rewards conversion. Not what you imagined, what you intended, what you almost started, what would have worked if only people listened. It rewards what became real. The world does not pay for potential. It pays for delivered value. That is the first brutal law. Why ideas feel more powerful than they are. Ideas are intoxicating because they are cheap to own and expensive to challenge. Inside your head, your idea is undefeated. It has no delays, no difficult customers, no budget constraints, no technical bugs, no legal problems, no lazy teammates, no market rejection, no Tuesday afternoon fatigue. Inside your head, your restaurant is always full. Your app never crashes. Your audience always understands your message. Your business partner always replies on time. Your drone system never loses signal. Your team never says, "This requirement is impossible." In your imagination, every empire is efficient. Reality is where the blood appears. And that is why many people unconsciously become collectors of ideas instead of executors of them. Because an idea gives you the emotional reward of progress without demanding the physical cost of progress. You can feel productive while doing absolutely nothing. That's dangerous because the human ego loves the identity of being a visionary. It hates the identity of being a beginner. A visionary says, "I'm building something massive." A beginner says, "Version 1 failed because the login button broke." One sounds legendary. The other sounds embarrassingly normal. But only one of them is moving. Execution is where value is actually created. Execution is the art of dragging an idea through friction until it becomes useful. That's the whole game. Not dreaming it, not announcing it, not making a logo for it at 2 a.m. like that logo alone is the second coming of capitalism. Execution means breaking the big vision into ugly little tasks, doing the task when the mood is gone, learning from reality instead of your pride, repeating what works, killing what doesn't. This is why execution usually wins, because execution contains feedback, and feedback is where truth lives. An idea says, "People will love this." Execution asks, "Did they click? Did they buy? Did they come back? Did it solve the problem? Did it scale? Did it survive contact with actual humans?" That's a completely different universe. A lot of people want to be architects of castles. Very few want to carry bricks. But the bricks decide everything, because success is rarely one moment of brilliance. It is usually the compound interest of unglamorous decisions. One good call repeated, one improvement stacked, one customer problem solved, one bug fixed, one conversation refined, one awkward attempt learned from. Execution is boring until it becomes legendary. Then everyone calls it genius. The graveyard of good ideas. Let's bury a myth right now. If your idea is truly great, it will naturally rise. No, that is poetry, not business. The graveyard is full of great ideas that never survived. Bad timing, poor follow-through, ego, weak systems, lack of testing, bad team dynamics, no market demand. Many founders had ideas, they just failed to execute those ideas into something the market actually valued. Because the market is not asking, how clever were you? It's asking, did you solve a real problem in a way people actually wanted? That's execution territory. An idea can be brilliant and still useless. A mediocre idea can win if it is executed relentlessly, improved consistently, and matched to reality. That sentence hurts because it means talent alone is not enough, and inspiration alone is definitely not enough. But it's also liberating because if execution matters most, success is not reserved for the most naturally gifted. It becomes available to the disciplined. That changes everything. James Dyson and the 5,127 prototypes. Now let's talk about a man who understood this, James Dyson. The bagless vacuum idea sounds simple now, almost obvious. That's how all successful ideas look after they work. History loves to put makeup on struggle, but the path was not elegant idea, instant victory. It took years, thousands of prototypes. Think about that. Not 5, not 50, not I tried twice and the universe sent negative energy. Thousands. That number is a sermon, because each prototype was an argument with reality. Prototype 1, nice idea, doesn't work. Prototype 37, still broken. Prototype 400, congratulations, you have invented disappointment with better documentation. Prototype 5,127, finally. And that is the point. The winning factor was not merely the concept, it was the refusal to stop translating the concept into working form. Execution is what turned inspiration into industry. Most people want Prototype 1's confidence with Prototype 5,127's reward. Life does not negotiate that deal. Now let's go even deeper. Sometimes execution wins so hard, it doesn't just improve the original idea, it replaces it. Slack is a perfect example. The founders were building a game. The game failed. But inside that attempt, they had built an internal communication tool, and that tool became the product. That is one of the most beautiful business lessons on earth. Their first big idea did not become the empire. Their process revealed a better one. Read that again. The victory did not come from stubborn loyalty to the original concept. It came from paying attention during execution. And that means execution does something ideas alone cannot do. Execution discovers hidden value. When you actually build, you learn what people use, what they ignore, what hurts, what delights, what should die, what should pivot. If the team had worshipped the original idea more than reality, they might have died defending a game nobody needed. Instead, they let execution teach them what the real opportunity was. That is mature entrepreneurship, not romance with your first thought, but loyalty to truth. The deeper philosophy, execution is humility. Here's the deeper rabbit hole. Execution usually wins because execution is not just labor, it is humility in motion. An idea says, I think I know. Execution says, let's find out. That difference is massive. Ideas can be arrogant. Execution is forced into honesty. Execution makes you confront your blind spots, your assumptions, your laziness, your weak systems, your impatience, your fantasy of how easy this should be. Execution is the gym where delusion goes to die, and that's why many people avoid it, because execution doesn't just test the idea, it tests the ego attached to the idea. If I only talk about my dream, I can preserve the fantasy that I am extraordinary. If I execute, I risk discovering I'm underprepared, I need help, my first version is bad, customers don't care, the market is colder than my motivational playlist suggested. Execution is dangerous to vanity, which is exactly why it is powerful. Why people lose to better executors. Let's make this painfully practical. Why does a weaker idea sometimes beat a stronger one? Because the stronger idea often belongs to someone who overthinks, delays, hides, waits for perfection, protects the concept more than the mission. Meanwhile, the less brilliant competitor launches earlier, listens faster, adjusts quicker, talks to customers, fixes errors, builds systems, keeps showing up. That person becomes unbeatable not because they started with more genius, but because they accumulated more reality, and reality compounds. A person who ships 20 imperfect versions learns more than the person polishing version 0. A person who talks to 100 customers learns more than the person talking to their own imagination. A person who solves one real problem today beats the person describing 10 theoretical revolutions tomorrow. Execution turns time into advantage. Ideas without execution turn time into regret. And regret is one of the most expensive currencies on earth. The comedy of "I had that idea first." Now let's laugh a little, because history is full of this sentence, "I had that idea first." Congratulations! So did probably 4,000 other people. There are entire invisible cemeteries filled with men saying, "I thought of Uber before Uber. I had a social media idea before Facebook. I was going to build that before they did." Maybe, possibly, who knows? But the market does not award medals for spiritual ownership. It does not care who first thought it. It cares who first built it well enough, improved it fast enough, and delivered it consistently enough. "I had that idea first" is often just a sophisticated way of saying, I confused imagination with execution. A buried treasure map is not treasure. A blueprint is not a building. A prophecy is not a nation. A calling is not a completed assignment. What matters is translation. Can you convert thought into structure? Can you convert insight into habit? Can you convert possibility into repeated action? That is the dividing line. Practical framework. How to become an executor. So how do you actually win in a world where execution matters more? Here's the framework. 1. Shrink the idea until it can move. Most people lose because the vision is too big to start. They want the empire on day 1. No. Build the first brick. Not "I'm building the ultimate platform," but "I'm testing one feature. I'm publishing one video. I'm calling 5 customers. I'm building version 1 this week." Execution loves motion, not drama. 2. Get reality involved early. Stop falling in love in private. Let users touch it. Let the audience reject it. Let the market insult your assumptions. That pain is useful. Reality is not your enemy. Reality is your editor. 3. Measure behavior, not compliments. People lie politely. They say, "This is amazing. I'd totally use this. Bro, this will blow." Then they vanish like smoke after church service. Watch behavior. Did they click? Did they return? Did they pay? Did they refer others? Execution respects data over flattery. 4. Build systems, not heroic moods. If your productivity depends on inspiration, you are not executing, you are gambling. Winners build routines, schedule, process, review loops, feedback cycles, checklists, deadlines. A weak system beats strong motivation that only appears when the moon is aligned. 5. Learn to pivot without losing the mission. Remember slack. Sometimes the first form of the idea is not the final winning form. Execution helps you discover what the real asset is. Don't worship the first version. Refine toward what works. 6. Stay in the game. This is the most boring advice and the most important. Many people don't fail because they are untalented. They fail because they stop. And stopping feels intelligent when disguised as "I'm waiting for the right moment." Sometimes that right moment is just fear in a business suit. Here's the hidden hope in all this. If execution usually wins, then your future is not trapped behind genius. You do not need to be the most original person in the room. You do not need to be the loudest visionary. You do not need to invent fire. You may simply need to start, continue, learn, adapt, outlast. And that is encouraging, because it means ordinary people can do extraordinary things if they develop extraordinary consistency. That's how empires rise. That's how channels grow. That's how ministries spread. That's how businesses survive. That's how movements become history. Not by perfect ideas descending from the clouds like lightning, but by flawed humans returning to the workbench again and again and again. Execution is where faith grows hands. So here's the truth. Ideas matter. Of course they matter. But ideas are seeds. Execution is the soil, the water, the sunlight, the season, the sweat, the patience, and the protection from everything trying to kill the seed before it becomes a tree. A seed in a glass case remains impressive and dead. A seed in the dirt looks buried, but only one of them grows. So if you've been sitting on a brilliant idea, guarding it, polishing it, announcing it, romanticizing it, ask yourself, have I built anything? Have I tested anything? Have I learned anything from reality? Or have I just been emotionally camping inside possibility? Because in the end, the world rarely belongs to the person who imagined the most. It usually belongs to the person who executed long enough for imagination to become unavoidable reality. So stop worshiping the spark. Build the fire. If this hit you, subscribe and stay with me, because on this channel, we don't just chase inspiration, we turn insight into action. And in the comments, tell me this: what idea have you been sitting on that now needs execution? Because the difference between a dream and a legacy is usually a schedule, a system, and the courage to start.